We're just coming back to equilibrium, to balance. Fundamental principles. What am I? And what is being? I mean, for us, it's being alive, obviously. So we just want to try and just get away from the cogito, from the use of the mind that's created the present ecological crisis, really. The arrogance that is man. Come back to our basic living simplicity. So the mind, the thinking, it's like it's a civilizing force, really. Civilization is built on repression. Repression and control. Something like this, where we're just moving from leg to leg. I want to feel it as an expression of my aliveness, of my sort of springy, juicy passion, rather than a mechanical regime that I've set up with my authoritative mind. So it's the big problem, really, is how to discipline yourself without using force. So I just have to feel as I sink into this leg is hungrily reaching out. Something in me starts to come alive that a mechanical approach would require to remain dormant. So how to make sure that at every level, spirit is involved. It's sort of mind continuous, but it's more spirit. So it's here, it's like an animal comes out of me. And then my body follows that. So it's not an idea. I have to be really careful that I'm not using my mind to create ideas. There's nothing metaphysical about what we're doing. So central equilibrium. Poised, suspended in this springy balance. You're throbbing. Pulsing. and trying to get the breath in the spine and into the legs. I don't want what I'm doing to take me out of my being. And for us, our being is our legs. So I don't want what I'm doing to take me out of my legs. Everything I do should take me deeper into my legs. It's a tall order. But it's the only way you stay connected to the real world. Otherwise, it's just the world of your own mind that you're remaining with. It's, the world of your own mind is very like the virtual world that people inhabit nowadays. And it's completely at odds. It's the opposite, really, to the natural world. key muscle in the legs is, for us, is the hamstring. It's the muscle that's being used here to bring me down and assist my belly. That Castaneda book he wrote towards the end, the Magical Passes book, with all those Qigong exercises. And he said there that the hamstrings contain your personal history. And so instead of carrying all that shit here, we just bring it down to here. It's like this sort of storehouse. You just have to really learn how to kick them in, keeping like a low grade residual tension there all the time. You can work on that as you're walking, especially, just making sure that there's a certain aspect in almost like the back of your mind is here in the hamstrings. Let's just ease the legs now. So now effectively walking, getting the two sides of the body working opposite to each other. Really just bringing the heel up, bringing it down. I've always said that walking is the best exercise, but only if you have your mind with it. So the mind should be with this alternating of the body rather than thinking to itself. The mind is with the process. Work the feet so that heels are always off the ground. Then you get this sort of wobble. And there's something in your mind really has to be settled to allow your balance to sink. So for John, the most important muscle in the leg was the calf. And so here we're really working the calves. Feeling the two minds. The mind that is with the rising, so with the leg which the heel is coming up, and the mind that is with the sinking. So my eyes will turn towards the rising. But I'm very much aware of the sinking here as I turn my gaze away from it. It becomes more and more dominant inside me. And without that, you just see that the person lacks subtlety, their course. the bottom of the figure of eight, underhand or under table, is happening out of sight, and it's all the more important for doing so. Now let's just try just riding horse basically from a narrow stance. The legs are just always on the verge of melting. So everything within the equilibrium is moving, not at rest. It's the two circles, or what we did when we were sitting down, so sort of reaching forwards like this. I want to bring in a sense of the figure of eight as well. There's something about the figure of eight that seems to contradict the circle. When I come up the figure of eight, I tend to turn towards it. When I come down the figure of eight, I turn away from it. When I'm doing this, when I turn towards the hand is coming in, the hand is sort of shrinking towards me. What I want is to let the hand, feel as though the hand is slipping behind you. So I reach forwards and then I bring it in, and there's a sense that it's going to do this and come out here and become the other one. So the figure of 8 has a waist. It has a contraction in the middle. And it's that that gives us its magic. And bringing it in, and it slips behind and then joins with this hand. This hand slips behind, joins with this hand. So it's energy. It's all hints and hesitations. As soon as it starts to become clear, then it becomes mechanical and just becomes a matter of force, really, force of habit. Something in me has to be able to keep knowledge at bay. The cloud of unknowing. Within which everything sparkles, but nothing is still or clear enough for me to say anything about it that has any sort of relevance, because no sooner have I opened my mouth, everything's shifted. So we know that our big enemy is ourselves. It's our mind, especially, us civilized, educated people. So the spirit is used within the work, within the practice, largely to keep the mind at bay. And it's that part of the mind that wants to understand. It wants to know. It feels it has a right to know what's happening. It feels as though if it doesn't know, it cannot function. So what we would like is what Keats called negative capability. So this sense that there's an aspect of you, a spiritual aspect of you that's really comes to the fore, shines, and is at its very best when you're thrown into situations you have no knowledge or experience for. And you just have to improvise and be spontaneous. So we want to be able to use the spirit so that we can just, it's almost like keeping ourselves at bay, really. We're using the spirit just to push the sense of wanting to know out. It's a bit like, you know, when you've got little children playing and it's so delicate and charged, the atmosphere is just charged with life and spirit. And you just know that as a knowledgeable, depressed adult, you will simply sully it, you'll destroy it if you even enter its vicinity. And so how do you come into its presence without ruining it? Something in you has to wake up and really inhibit that need to dominate, which is what the mind has. The mind tries to dominate every situation. And that is a quality which in Tai Chi they call lightness. That's what Dr. Chi had par excellence. John was soft. Dr. Chi was light. And John always said lightness is a far superior quality. So you see it when he's doing his form, his mind just leaps out. You know, he's just sparkling, and these sparks are literally just exploding off him all the time. And this is the sense when you're doing your Tai Chi, the very beginning of the posture where your mind just leaps out, and then everything comes from that. The whole posture flows from that burst of lightness at the very beginning. And not surprisingly, you just do not encounter that quality here at all. So softness is just your capacity to melt boundaries. And lightness is negative capability. It's a beautiful phrase. The ability to be without. So, standing here and ostensibly still, but you could move in any direction at any moment. So you're just poised, you're absolutely brimming with potential.